do a serious one.
Yeah.
So joining you live from the World Championship 2023 in Barcelona, the Living Legend podcast.
This episode of Living Legends podcast is brought to you by FAB Foundry. And you can make sure you get 10% off your order if you use the Living Legend 10 discount code when ordering any of the new Heavy Hitters set. And let's be honest, you're going to want to get your hands, your one hand even, on all of this fantastic product, because let's be honest, you want to play me, Kayo, and I hit like a effing truck.
Yeah, it's right now I have both of the overhead lights in the room on, and if I don't have if I don't have this empty notepad document, my eyebrows just disappear. My eyes
wow,
just
look at
disappear.
that.
Just gone.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, but then if I have it up, you can kind of see my face. It would even be better.
Oh
it would be
my
better
God.
if I had a second notepad thing as well, probably. But then I wouldn't be able to see you guys.
Oh wow, that's better. That's better.
Just open up a whole bunch of notepad documents.
Hey.
Oh my
There
God,
we go.
that's really funny.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can see you guys like you're little and tiny. You're at the bottom of my screen. But
Oh,
I have two
that.
notepad documents. People will be like, "Oh my God, Bill has a face."
Brilliant.
Wow, that is.
I don't know if we're recording right now.
We are,
but if
yeah.
We are fantastic. So basically, welcome back to Living Legends podcast. I'm your host for today. My name's Alice from Go Again Gaming, and joined by people that you can actually see this time.
It's crazy.
I'll throw it to Bill first of all. How are you doing? What's going
I'm
on over
well
there?
lit. Thanks for asking.
He's not just the shade. Oh my God.
I was just mentioning to the guys that my setup for like video is really, really bad. It's completely slap shot together. Like it's not good. Right now, the things that are illuminating me are just I have empty notepad documents on either of my screens.
Yeah.
And I've pulled Discord down to just be a little corner of my screen so that I can still see you guys. Because otherwise I'm just speaking into the void and that's no fun. But with all that sort of blathering on, hello, I am Bill. And today we're going to be talking about some really interesting stuff. I think the thing that I suggested, I didn't get a chance to look at Az's, what do you usually call it? Dossier? Your
Dossier,
your dossier. But there are some really interesting things to talk about with respect to Kayo and Prism right now. They're kind of in a space at the same time, which seems unlikely.
Yeah, we
But,
can get to that. We can get to that in a bit. I mean, I've got
Yeah.
Prism on my notes because obviously she won something recently, and what you brung up before we throw it over to Kel, and before we recorded actually in our sort of separate chat, does make the interactions quite interesting between those two heroes. But before we get to that, yes, we've got Red Zone Rogue as well.
Oh, hello. I'm also here. I'll be honest. I also didn't read Az's docket. so we're just going.
For me, it was
wild.
a busy day at work.
I'll just lead the way then.
I literally made 4 videos last night, so I was pretty busy. And then this morning, I was just like, I'm just gonna play video games until it's time to record, man. I just need to relax. So I played Grand Blue Fantasy Relink all morning. So yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Nice. Yeah, I was just going to lead into that. Like, what's everyone been doing this week? But obviously, you've been playing some games this week.
Well,
then.
I have been making Flesh and Blood content, but not for my channel. I did some catch up work for channel Fireball. So if you don't know, I still make Flesh and Blood content like 2 times a month for channel Fireball. And since I was gone for a good chunk, I missed some stuff. And anyway, I was playing some catch up. So I made two videos. One of them is I can tell you what they are, I guess. One of them is a let's make a sealed deck. So I open up 6 packs and I build talk through my decisions and make a sealed deck. A little bit of a spoiler: I pulled a spicy card that I was not able to play because I was like, I'm pretty sure that if I open up a cold foil or legendary, I'm not able to play it because you're supposed to remove the back two cards of the pack. But that probably won't come up. Well, like second pack, it came up, which was kind of funny. And then the other video I made is my top 5 picks for heavy hitters. not just favorite picks, but just like top 5 like meta good card picks. So that those are what I've kind of been doing, and that actually not to bury the lead too much, has to do with some of our topics today, because hey, I did pick spoilers. I did pick Luminaris as an honorable mention, and I did pick some brute cards. So yeah, so that's what I've been doing, other than like a whole bunch of non-Flesh and Blood stuff, like Shadowverse and Grand Archive. But that's the Flesh and Blood stuff that I've been doing.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I've actually been up to something Flesh and Blood related. I know, shocker.
Oh my god.
It's actually kind of interesting. One of my friends, a fellow spike feeder by the name of Jan, he was into Flesh and Blood for a while, but he has since had he has a second kid. He already had a kid when he was playing, and then he had a second one, and now his life is just super busy. He's been struggling to keep up with Magic even, so he was like, hey, I'm probably not going to be able to play Flesh and Blood. Like, do you want to buy my collection? And I was like, well, maybe. Like, what do you have? And so he like sent me a list of all the stuff he had, and ended up buying it off of him. And there were some very good things in this lot of cards,
Nice.
including 2 tunics.
Nice. Which what version are those?
They are Kruniks.
Okay.
So they're not rainbow foil, but they're still like, they're still a decent chunk of change.
Because Tunic has been reprinted like 18 times at this point.
And it's still expensive though. Like even these Kruniks, I have them listed for like 90 Canadian, because that's like a reasonable price, which I still think is pretty high. But speaking of cards that are not high, I'm pretty sure he purchased this when it wasn't as cheap as it is now, but it was definitely cheaper than it had been before it got reprinted. I have a Dull Cap as well.
Nice.
He was very upset to find out that this card was like $20 now.
Yeah, bro, it's not worth much.
Wow.
The new I can't remember what it's called, but the new hat from Heavy Hitters is like $70 or $80 right now for like rainbow foil.
Yeah. Balance of Justice. I genuinely think that Balance of Justice is a very good card.
I think it's good too.
I'm very excited that they're adding more options into the headspace, because I just think that right now the supremacy of Crown of Providence, I almost said Crown of Dominion because I've had royal decks on the brain for a little while.
Yeah.
The dominance of that is kind of disheartening for a lot of players. So having options, especially in recent sets, that are at least comparable, I think is quite nice.
I agree, and I would also add Tunic onto that as well. Not to spoil my top 5 list, but some options for Tunic. Actually, what's really interesting about Heavy Hitters, some options for Tunic, Crown, as well as Command and Conquer are all in Heavy Hitters, which I think is really, really cool. I'll talk about it in my top 5 list, so stay tuned for that on Channel Fireball. But I agree with what Bill said, and I agree that the new hat is like, in some situations, just better, like actually just straight up better than Crown of Providence, because Crown of Providence like filters you a card, right? Because you either tuck a card and draw, or you yeet your arsenal and draw. But the other one can literally just draw you a card in certain circumstances. So it is literally just a +1 card sometimes. So, yeah. But not all the time.
Yeah, it's definitely something when we, because I believe we've still got Brian on the docket for Living Legends podcast at some stage going forward. Have we still got that happening? Because if we do, then one of the questions I want to ask him is around the equipment slots going forward, because it seems like in Heavy Hitters we've got, and previous sets this year, we've had a lot more specialization equipments, things that are tailored towards certain heroes, rather than just leaning on Tunic as a generic and Crown of Providence as a generic. You now have hats. We've spoke a lot about the hats of Heavy Hitters. So I want to ask, whether that's a sort of space they're looking to go in, is more specialization equipment, because that seems to be a good way to, keep the cost down as well for players that are looking for an alternative.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed with how powerful the rare headpieces they printed are.
Same.
Genuinely, I think that it's really cool that Betsy's hat is just like, this is the one that you play. It is better than a legendary. Like, this is the hat that you want to play if you're Betsy. I think that's fantastic. I think having a 50-cent option as like the best part of your deck helps a lot for barrier of entry things.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, it fits
generic
fits in with the hero's identity, and it means that other heroes can't abuse it if that effect is good, because it's limited to Betsy only as well. So
yeah, like I remember saying my immediate thought, because I just completely forgot that Good Time Chapeau was not only a Guardian headpiece but also a Betsy specialization. I was like, if Olympia had access to this, like,
oh yeah,
that'd be disgusting. People would complain about it. Like, that's so strong.
repeatable effect. Yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it's repeatable is just crazy. Like that, it's so strong that it almost makes me think that it was a design oversight and that they meant for it to break. But I'm also not going to comment on that, because I don't know. I might just be like overreacting to how powerful it is.
Well, I mean, it's a specialization, so maybe they balanced it in terms of how powerful they think Betsy is, right? So maybe they like overtuned it because I think Betsy's kit isn't like needed it, for example.
Yeah, so that's exactly. So it's one of the things I want to raise, because it just makes everything a lot cheaper, a lot more accessible, but a lot more sort of pigeonholed into that hero, I guess.
At the same time, they also printed a generic legendary hat that's like $90 too. So they're doing like both. Yeah,
doing both. Yeah, exactly. But speaking of singles and cards and what have you, you would have seen the stupid KO advert that I done at the start of this this episode. Stupid in the sense that I'm just being really cheesy with a cheesy accent. But thanks to everybody who's put in their orders already through Fab Foundry, and you can use the code LivingLegend10 to get 10% off heavy hitters cards. So while we're speaking of singles, while we're speaking of all these cards that you can get relatively on the cheap, get them even cheaper with the discount code. So make sure you use that. But yeah, also with regards to my week in Flesh and Blood, today actually I done something very interesting. So for the longest time I thought, what's Go Again Gaming going to do with regards to like consistent content? I've had a few bits of consistent content over the years, the Azalea Cult being one of them. And I do have a new episode of that coming out soon, I believe, with Stefano. We're going to look at the meta and where Azalea stands at the moment. He's the expert. I'm going to ask all the questions. But another thing that sort of materialised as of today was, is it this corner, this top corner? You can't really see because my hand's just disappearing into the aether. But this little logo up here, which means the league that means nothing. So this is basically going to be if you saw like the instant speed gauntlet that they did like a matches and then commentary and loads of other bits in between. It's going to be similar to that.
I was in the first one and lost round 1. So
yeah. So it's going to be similar to that, where there's going to be loads of different people just playing games in a league format with different matches coming out each week, feature matches. And then like weekly recaps on the matchups. It's CC as well, so the definitive way to play to a lot of people's standards. I'm going to be playing in it as well, of course, and there's loads of other people going to be playing in it. It's going to be good fun, good weekly content that I've decided to put together. So look forward to that. It's going to be good stuff. I want to go through to the mothership of Flesh and Blood now. There's a couple of articles that have been glossed over, so I think we could address those now on what's basically a slow news week. If you're happy to do that, folks.
Yeah, go for it.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So yeah, first of all, there was this article about proxies, alters, and misprints. Did you see this?
I read the first one, unless they updated it. It was like a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, so it was the 2nd of Feb, but we never really touched on it, so I thought we could sort of touch on it now.
Yeah, I was gone, I think.
Yeah. So we were both gone.
I don't recall the initial drop of the info, but I did see, I think it was Mara on Twitter, posted that they had altered Enlightened Strikes to be full art and like covered the text box and everything, and they were like, hell yeah. And I, as soon as I saw it, was also like, hell yeah.
Yeah, it looks really, really good what Mara's done with that. Because one of the rulings is I think you can basically cover the entire card as long as the attack, the defense, all of the pitch and everything else is viable. So all of the as long as you keep those parts of the card active or sort of visible, you can alter everything else. But I thought we would have needed to have the text box, but apparently you don't need the text box anymore as long as the other bits are visible.
Yeah, I think it's probably similar to the rule that Magic has in place for their altars and their. I guess it's mostly altars because you can't have like tokens or anything like that in your main deck. But as long as the card is understandable and like identifiable, like you can look up the rules text of a card. Like as far as I know, there aren't any rules against playing foreign language cards, and in that case. Yeah, in that case, like if you were playing an Italian in Light and Strike, like you can't read it, your opponent can't read it because neither of you speak Italian. It's kind of the same thing. Like having words on there doesn't mean inherently that you can read it. You can look up the oracle text, is what they call it in Magic, the original text of the card online. So if you ever had any issues with like, oh, I don't remember what this card does, like if somebody played like an altered Art of War and they're like, you wanted to see the things, I'm sure you could call a judge over and they would confirm the original text for you.
Funny thing about Magic is a lot of the new secret layers look worse than altars, like
totally unreadable.
Yeah, like super illegible. Yeah.
Yeah. That makes a lot more sense actually, because what we were speaking about last week, for instance, Japanese altars. If you were to play a Japanese card, Japanese language, not everybody's going to know what that card does. So I guess as long as it's an official card, which obviously on the article it says, as long as it's an official card, they'll be able to sort of oracle text or find out what that is from the other values that are in it. And there's a what card is that?
That's Sauron.
So
Lord of the Rings?
Is Sauron the Dark Lord. For the people who aren't who are listening online, I'm holding up a I believe it's the poster alternate art for Sauron Dark Lord from Magic the Gathering. The only reason that I have kept this card and not sold it is because I kind of have this is the second part of a tradition at this point where I pull an expensive card and then just make a deck around it. But objectively, I think this card looks very bad. The casting cost is spread out over the four corners of the card. It's like its rules text is broken into three different like sections. It's bizarre.
It looks like a movie poster, like from the 70s, or no, a band poster. It looks like a band poster from the 70s. Yeah.
If I had it on the wall behind me as a poster, I'd be like, this rocks. This is super sick. This is a game piece. Like, if somebody played this against me across the table and I'm expected to just like be able to read this, no. This is
I think the worst part about it is like one here or there is like, I don't think it's too bad, but if you're playing like a commander game and there's like a shitload of that stuff just everywhere, you're like, I don't know what anything does. It's just all like, garbledy-gook to me. Like,
yeah, I mean, the original one was the Amonkhet Invocations. For anybody who's unfamiliar with Magic, it was a very like Egyptian-themed thing.
I still like those stupid things.
There's one. I implore everyone listening to look up Hazaret the Fervent, the invocation version, because it definitely there is no way that the way that they have like this specific like font for them that looks very similar to like hieroglyphics. It's like hieroglyphics inspired English, but it definitely reads Hazaret the Pervert. Like 100%. That's what it says on the card. I promise you. If you look it up, you'll see that I'm right. God.
So like, I haven't played with a couple of them. So like, but I don't have Hazaret the Pervert. No, I have like, I have Attrition. I have Dark Pact, the one that's just no, that's not Dark Pact. Slaughter Pact. I have Slaughter Pact. So there's a few that I run. Maelstrom Pulse, but yeah, Hazaret the Pervert. It's pretty funny. I'll have to Google that.
But yeah, to bring this back around to Flesh and Blood, I do think that having a policy like that in place, especially now that they're printing multiple different languages of cards, I think it just makes sense because again, the in universe or the as printed example of like, oh, I have a card in French. I don't speak French. It's just the copy that I was able to get. My opponent doesn't speak French, but both of us know what the card is. As long as you know that it's a real version of the card and not a proxy or a fake copy, and it is, you're not trying to like if you altered an Enlightened Strike to look like a Command and Conquer so that you could have that plausible deniability of like, oh, I'm attacking you with a Command and Conquer, or if it's more reasonable for you, oh, I'm attacking with an Enlightened Strike. Like, obviously, that's gaming the system. That's not okay. That's unsportsmanlike conduct at the very least, cheating at probably the realistic level. But if you're just altering an Enlightened Strike to look better, the words don't really need to be there because the art is very noticeable. A judge will be able to tell you what the card does, etc., etc.
Yeah.
Definitely. Also, I just looked up Hazrat the Fervent, and it totally does look like
it says Hazrat the Pervert.
Like it, the F really does look like a P. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
That's my favorite example of like, this card's not legible. It is completely tournament legal. You can play this card, but especially across the table, sleeved, you can't read that.
I mean,
card.
like,
that's not legible.
To be fair for these. The text box is 100% legible, and it doesn't look anywhere near as bad as some of the secret layer stuff. Like,
true.
Like the cereal box ones or whatever that.
Like,
yeah. Like
it's split up among 4 different quadrants of the. It's weird. It looks really bad. But I'm building a deck around it, so.
I remember when those invocations came out, people are like, these don't look like Magic cards. And I remember that happened multiple times. Like when the unstable lands came out, they were like borderless, and people were like, these don't look like Magic cards. If only they knew what was ahead of them. Yeah. If only they knew.
If only.
Yeah.
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 Anyway.
But yeah, I just thought I would mention that because obviously it was there's a lot of amazing people that do alters and other sort of artistic ventures, and I think it's a great way of expressing yourself, especially on a kitchen table, casual sort of level. And I had a tale about this as well, which I haven't actually spoken about since because I was in Hartford and I was playing in the Battle Hardened. And I had my Go Again Gaming Azalea altar. So I basically had a altar that I had commissioned of Azalea on one side of the card, but then I had the Azalea token on the reverse. So it was still a official Flesh and Blood token, or is it even a token now? I don't know because they used to be tokens, right? The heroes.
Yeah.
They used to be.
There are still token heroes. Right now it's just the young heroes are tokens and the adult heroes are majestics. There's a whole conversation to be had about that. But yeah, there are still token heroes. That's still a thing.
So I had an Arcane Rising Azalea token. I'm not sure. I don't have it on me, so I can't check. But that is a token, right? Yeah. The Azalea adult hero is a token. Because their token policy says, tokens are card-like objects that represent things in the game. And the actual judge said, "Oh, you could have an IP penalty for that if it didn't have the reverse." So basically, the altars that I get done from my mate Tobias, he uses a special process on the reverse of the token, which would be Azalea on one side and maybe a Visceria or Kano on the other side for the Arcane Rising tokens because they were tokens at that time. So my altar is on the reverse, which I don't care about. And then if you flip it over, you've got the Azalea Ace in the Hole adult token. So I basically had to flip my card over and say, well, I've got the reverse on this side. So I guess that saved me. He said, oh, you could have had a penalty for that if you didn't have the reverse token.
I don't know if that's true. I mean, they might have changed the rules, but I've literally asked people from Legend Story Studios if I could use like non-official cards as like my hero, and they said yes. Like,
yeah,
because I use artist proofs, which are technically not real cards. And I was told from someone from LSS, I'm not gonna say who they are just in case the thing has changed and I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but yeah.
This is why I was confused about the article because heroes now are not tokens. To some degree, but old ones are. I mean, so what's the leeway with that?
Some of them are though. Yeah, it's weird. Like the young ones all are. So all of the young ones are tokens still, but starting with Bright Lights, Well, I guess technically starting with Dusk Till Dawn, we have majestic, like adult heroes.
Yeah.
The thing
Luckily-
that is, or sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, luckily, the process that my friend uses, and he does this with tokens or heroes, is that he does his process, his alter process, on one side of the card. But if you then flip it over, the token the hero or the token represented is the LSS side, so you can use that to perfectly represent your hero. But if you're playing casual TCG, you want to use your cool alter version, you flip it to the side, which is not that.
Well, I mean, like even like in official events, I was told that you're allowed to use, like, you know, like an artist proof or whatever. I always bring both, by the way. I always bring both just in case. But I was told that you could use them because it's a token, so you can anything that's like representable or identifiable as the thing you could use as a token.
The thing that's annoying about it to me is that I would absolutely 100% if a hero exists as a token, if the printing of the hero is there exists a token version of it, I would absolutely rule that anything, as long as it's clear what hero you're supposed to be, I would say that that's totally fine. Like you're not trying to misrepresent. Like if you're playing in a Blitz event and you only have an adult Briar on you, and you're, I don't know, like if you only had an adult Briar on you, I wouldn't issue a penalty for that. You're denoting what hero you're trying to play, and it's just a token, so it's representing the hero that you're trying to play. But then, like, I wouldn't say that a token of Shiana would be legal, because Shiana is a legendary. And then the same thing with these new heroes that are the adult versions are majestic. Based on the rules as they are, I wouldn't say that it's legal to have a token of a majestic hero because they don't exist in token form. But to me personally, outside of the rules, I think that heroes should just be allowed to be tokens. I personally, I feel it kind of gatekeepy to have certain heroes, especially for like the Dusk Till Dawn heroes, like Adult Prism. I opened like 3 cases of Dusk Till Dawn and didn't get a single Adult Prism.
And yet the young version was not a token, right? The young version was also
specifically for that one. Yeah, the young version was also a majestic, I think. That one, Dusk Till Dawn, was a weird set. But for example, for for a recent set for heavy hitters, like Victor, the young version is a token, the old version is a majestic.
Yeah.
By the rules, I would say that because he's a majestic, in the old version, you can't have a token that's a proxy of him because he's not a token. But to me, I think that you should be able to do that. That is outside of the rules. That is just me as a player. I think that that should be how it works. But for you, for Azalea has been a token in 2 sets, like 2 separate times she's been printed as a token. And per the rules that I have pulled up here, a token should only be present in the play space if it is representing a token that exists in the game. Players may create or use an unofficial token as long as it is card-like, rectangular with a height-width ratio of approximately 7:5, and is no smaller than half the size of card and no larger than a card. So if you have a token proxy that's on an actual card, that, to me, fits completely within that. So I think that giving you an IP penalty for a proxied version of a token hero, I think is not correct. Personally, I would very much disagree with that.
Well,
yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up, because it's an interesting one.
Well, Az and Bill have been chatting. We'll see if I get a response, but I literally just messaged the rules and policy manager, Joshua Scott. So we're gonna find out if you can or not.
Hey Josh,
from the highest source of the land. So yeah, so I just message him. We'll see if he messages me back before the end of the episode. We're only 30 minutes in, so he saw the message. Well, we'll see if he gets back. So yeah,
there is a slight addendum, but even then, because you're not trying to hide what hero you're playing, I don't think this applies. But I will say, for anybody else who's looking at the rules, there is an addendum at the very end of the paragraph that I was quoting. Tournament officials and coverage may enforce players to use official tokens to keep the representation of the game clear. So, like, if you're using a token that's completely, off the wall, but it's fun or whatever, and it's not super clear for people who aren't familiar with you or your deck or whatever, then they might say, hey, can you use an official token for whatever. But like,
Yeah, so
especially in coverage, it would say that you're playing Azalea.
the question I asked him was like pretty simple. I just said, "Are you allowed to use proxy cards, altars, and other such stuff as your hero?" So we'll see. We'll see what he says.
Yeah, and especially if your hero has been printed at a token rarity before.
I wanted to leave it open just in case. I wanted to see what he says. Like,
we'll see. But
he's writing something, so I'm gonna get a reply no matter either way.
I'm gonna get a reply. Well, there we go. It's an interesting thread to bring up because there's a little bit of contradicting information especially because of the hero. The heroes now are a rarity, whereas they weren't before.
Yeah. And again, personally, based on the rules, I would say that you can't proxy a majestic hero, but as a player, I would say that you should be able to.
Yeah.
Which is not an official ruling.
I could see them being like, yeah, heroes are tokens. You can use whatever as long as it's understood what the token is representing. That's what I've been told in the past. But I can also understand them for like coverage being like, hey, you have to use the official one for coverage just so the viewers know what it is. That makes a lot of sense to me, specifically from like the coverage standpoint. But I don't know. We'll find out what the answer is in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see if Joshua Scott is able to to chime in live.
Yeah, I mean, like I looked at the time. It's like it's 4:00 here. And I think New Zealand's like 5 or 6 hours behind me, but in the next day. So I was like, it's like early like afternoon for him. So I was like, it's not too weird of a time to DM him. So yeah.
But I mean, luckily for my mate, he does the alter thing on the reverse side of the token. But if he was to do like a Teklo Vossen alter, you'd have to get the majestic card version and have it on the reverse of the card, so that if the judge said, "Oh, okay, that alter is not appropriate," you can just flip it over, and there you are. You've got the actual representation of the card.
I mean,
so luckily his process works on that front.
Yes.
Nice.
So yeah, what I typically do, and I've done this literally ever since Tales of Aria. I have a artist proof. So I have an artist proof of Lexi with her, fully sketched on it, and then I have artist proof of Uzuri as well now, with Uzuri sketched on it, and I use those as my both young and adult heroes. I just use the artist proof one because it just has a beautiful picture. But I always carry a regular copy. A fancy copy because I'm extra like that. So I have like my cold full Uzuri, but I still have an official like actual version just in case anyone wants to make a stink about it. Just because I don't want to have to like fight anyone for like rules. So, I mean,
good idea.
That's what I always do. But I will also say, I've not had the experience that Az had. No one has ever told me that I have to swap. Basically what I do, even at like higher level events, like at callings, I've only played in one calling, and I ended up dropping and doing casting. But every player that I played against, I went like 4-4 or something. But every player I played against, I was like, hey, do you mind if I use this as it was Lexi at the time. Do you mind if I use this as Lexi? And they're like, yeah, I don't care. That was it. Like
exactly.
No one said anything. Yeah. So.
Token. They you know what the hero does. Just let me play with my cool things.
Interesting. Okay, he gave me a 2-paragraph answer. So
wow.
Let me read exactly what he said here. So most heroes are token rarity, but no heroes have the token type. When it comes to token cards for altars, etc., we care about it being the token type. So heroes follow the same rules as other non-token cards when it comes to altars, etc., regardless of rarity. In short, the card has to be original and recognizable. There's a longer, more specific list of criteria, including silhouette, color scheme, etc., but the reason behind it is that it needs to be immediately recognizable for competitive play. So I guess the real thing here, the token rarity doesn't matter. They care about token card type. So the heroes are not token card type, they're token card rarity. So for this situation, you cannot use a proxy, for example, but you can do an alter if it's an official card that follows all of the rules that is listed in the article. So I hope that answers.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah,
Nice.
I do stand corrected. Although, as a player, I will still say that I'm still in the camp that you should be
That
able
it's-
to
Oh,
proxy heroes.
I mean, like for a casual play, like who cares? Like if you're playing at
yeah,
the kitchen
again,
table,
like
if you're
if you're
playing
not
at the
playing in a
LGS,
tournament,
yeah. If you're not playing at like
exactly.
a calling or a battle hardened or pro tour, like or whatever, like who cares, man? Like
Yeah.
if someone comes
Yep.
up to me and they're like, I'm playing this Legend of the Five Rings card as Uzuri, I'm like, yeah, cool. Like I don't
Go
care.
for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen people use like
me-
Pokemon cards as proxies. Like, man, I don't care.
Yeah. Like to me, the most important thing is just that you're able to unambiguously say what the token is representing and have it like, even if it's like you're saying a Legend of the Five Rings card, a Pokemon card, a Yu-Gi-Oh card, and being like, okay, this is my hero. This is something that does not change. I don't have multiple copies of it, so I can't try to obfuscate what I'm trying to pretend that it is. And it's something that comes like as a token in packs, so there's a billion of them, and whatever. Then like to me, what's the harm? But again, there's different rules for tournament play, and I totally understand that. And I think there should be for tournament and competitive play because of that potential for angle shooting. For you to say, oh, like again, the example that I gave of altering an Enlightened Strike to look like a Command and Conquer, so that you can say, oh, if you look at the art, it's a Command and Conquer, but if you look at the text, it's an Enlightened Strike. So I can pretend it's either one to sort of trick my opponent. That's a very uncharitable take, but I do think that that's an important thing to keep in mind, especially in a competitive environment.
I can see it getting, yeah, I can see where it could get like a lot muddier too. Like if the cards have the same stats, right? If it's a 2 cost, 6 attack, 3 block, and then you alter it so much so that it's like hard to recognize that it's a Command and Conquer, right? And then you're like, can like trick your opponent to thinking that you have like 6 Command and Conquers in your deck or something, Because you're running like, I don't know, just any other 2 cost, 6 attack red card.
Yeah. You could be like, oh, it's an erase face.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just like whatever is more convenient for you in the moment. So yeah, again, I'm not saying that the rule is wrong. I'm not saying that it's incorrect or that whatever, but I do think that heroes should not be gate kept behind rarity. Personally,
that's different. That's a different thing, I think.
So that's a different conversation, and it has nothing to do with
James made an official like statement about that in like an interview, but that's how it is, I guess. Even if I don't like it all that much.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't. So here's the thing, I don't hate it, but what it is for me is just one more reason for me to buy singles and not buy sealed product. Like that's what it is. That's what it is. Ends up being for me, where I'm like, well, if I can spend over $1,000 on product, but still have to go to the buy singles, buy my like $2 max nitro or whatever, it just kind of like feels bad or janky. I don't know. It's just weird. Like I feel like if I spend like a crap load of money, I should at least have the heroes. I don't know.
In that vein, I think it feels weird that like, yeah, you open a bunch of bright lights or you open a bunch of heavy hitters and you're like, I pulled every card to make like a KO deck, say. Like I have all the cards that I could ever need to make a KO CC deck, but because they're short printed, I didn't pull an adult KO. So until I get that adult KO, I can't play the deck. Like that feels really backwards to me. It just, I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I understand. I understand where they're coming from. They want their heroes to feel special and they want it to be like, oh, cool, I pulled the hero. But that's what the Marvels should be for, in my opinion. So I don't know, whatever. It is what it is. They're not expensive, but it's just kind of annoying if you're buying a lot of products. I don't know.
Just a dead card in your booster pack if you're cracking it as well, isn't it? It's just like,
it comes in the extra slot, so it comes in one of the 2 back cards now. So I opened up a booster box and I pulled an adult KO, but it was in like the token slot, so it doesn't technically take a place in your pack. It would be the same. Oh, go ahead.
It like could have been an expansion slot card.
I mean, it could have been. I mean, or it could have been like a legendary or cold foil or something actually kind of cool.
I mean, it would be cool if they, they've done this in the past as well with like the other heroes, other rarities like Shiana and stuff, and the Crucible of War rare heroes and stuff. They could still have have heroes at strange rarities, but obviously are not designed for the constructed part. Just like a cool hero that you can get in the packs, which is not related to the actual set, perhaps. Or just do something like that instead, rather than doing that. But hey ho, these things happen.
Like having, I'm about to make this point, and I almost don't agree with it now that I'm thinking about it. But it almost made sense. I'm just gonna say it anyway, and we'll have a conversation about it. It almost made sense to have majestic heroes in a set where drafting didn't matter, and the one that I'm thinking of specifically is Everfest, where you had Valda, you had Genis, and you had Icelander. But then at the same time, like, if drafting doesn't matter, then why do the tokens matter? I guess because they don't have they didn't, I guess, now have a token slot in those sets. But like, you could have printed them as a common. I don't know. Like the design philosophy behind the rarity of heroes is just kind of a head scratcher for me. I think that for accessibility purposes, heroes should just be able to be proxied. Personally, I do think that. That is a Bill from the Spike Feeder's personal thought, not a rules, not a ruling or anything like that.
I think a big part of it, at least for me, is perception as well. Because I was thinking about it, and I was like, if they just had it this way from the start, it probably wouldn't have felt as like weird when they just randomly changed it out of nowhere from like, here, your heroes are tokens. And you can sometimes get a cool one where it's like both heroes, young and then adult on the same side. And then randomly they're just like, nah, the adults are like majestic now. And they're like, harder to pull than a legendary. Because literally for like Bright Lights, I pulled more legendaries than adult heroes. Like I pulled like 3 Shriek Razors and 0 max Nitro.
Well, I don't think I pulled. I think I pulled 1 adult Prism in Bright Lights, and I pulled 4 or 5 legendaries.
I don't think I pulled any adult Prisms. I have a Cold Full one that I got through other means, but yeah. So like, I think that's a part of it. It just feels weird, like backtracking on something that was like already working well. I don't know that, but I think if it was like that at the start, I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. I probably wouldn't care all that much. Yeah.
I will say though, this was a good topic for us to bring up. This has been a good conversation.
I'm just descended into 9 layers of hell, but there we go.
Like, we got some good confirmation and stuff. We got a official confirmation from Joshua Scott on the
shout out Joshua Scott.
Yeah, he's a good dude. If you haven't seen our episode with him on the podcast, it was like last year, but it was good. Go watch it. I don't remember. It was like maybe episode like 30 or 40 or something like that. Yeah.
Cool. That was obviously Proxies and Alters article, and obviously that spawned a few points and concerns that we have as a podcast. That might not necessarily mean the same voices and concerns that you have, but you'll listen to us nonetheless, and hope.
Yeah, I mean, like,
we'll get you through your day.
At the end of the day, honestly, like that whole discussion, it doesn't really matter all that much. It's just kind of annoying if you're like into the altars, kind of deal. It just means you can't play them at like official events and stuff.
Yeah. Just make sure, as Kel said, make sure you bring the official token. And it kind of makes sense, obviously, with the fact that streaming is massive at the moment. All the optics are on competitive play, of course, and that's where all the people want to go and want to see the game being played at a competitive level. So it's fair enough that LSS want their actual versions of their heroes for optics purposes. You don't want a new player coming in and saying, "Oh, what hero is that then?" You want all the heroes to be the same, I guess. So
it's just like a random anime girl. It's just like
exactly.
It's like it's like 2B or like Makima.
Go again gaming's thick azalea thigh altar,
I guess, okay, now that we're bringing up those and now I'm reminded of the gross anime girl basic lands that you can buy off eBay. for Magic. Okay, maybe I've rescinded everything that I've said about alters being okay.
That's
The
funny.
last 20 minutes, just disregard it. Disregard Bill's opinion. The last 20 minutes.
Yeah, I
Oh,
forgot
so good.
the way that that some gamers can be, so never mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think the important thing, like with every rule, is like if they did this, I think there would have to be almost like an unspoken, like, you have to be cool about this sort of understanding.
Yeah.
Which doesn't necessarily go over well for most card gamers, and that's coming from personal experience with, you know, being out in local game stores and playing games with people. Like, not everybody is able to be cool.
I'm just thinking of ideas now for like basic lands. What if it was like Exodia? What if it was like Exodia, right? And so each land was like a different part of an anime waifu. So you had like right boob, left boob, head, arms and legs. You need all of it.
Reprehensible.
And then you're like, I've assembled Exodia. Oh my god. You could do that for your escape shift deck to get all your mountains. Anyway.
Absolutely.
It's so funny. It's so bad.
But I did have other things as well that were straight from the LSS website. Anime Girls was not one of them, but anyway.
Damn.
One thing that is absolutely damn. Maybe in the Japanese product, we'll see. Anyway,
I doubt it,
hot
but
diggity
you know.
donut.
No.
But
I was gonna say something, but I don't think it's. Anyway, I know some Flesh and Blood artists that might be actually drawing for some like anime games. Anyway,
yeah. Please continue.
Please continue. Get us out of here. We're in the weeds.
Get us out of here. Step on the gas.
Step on the gas. Boom, 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 boom. Anyway, motorboating. So we're going to.
Bruh.
Anyway, so Road to Nationals is going to be coming soon. So this is February 17th to March 10th, 2024. So this is obviously qualifying for Road to Nationals. I think it's going to be something that I'm going to be doing at least once this season. I don't know where Azalea really sits at the moment, because obviously we're going to go into a few of the top eights and stuff that have happened recently, because I think everything's going to be shifting around as a result of a couple of things that we've seen. But there's some cool stuff in the RTN the RTN sort of swag pools that you can get. You can get some rainbow foil Rhinars. You can get some rainbow foil Victors and Olympias. You got this new playmat as well for the finalists, which is just a deathmatch arena. I think it's the box art potentially. I think it is the box art, which we haven't really seen that on a card yet. The heavy hitters mat. So you got a couple of cool things that you can pick up there. But you don't go to any sort of Road to Nationals, do you? You two?
Nah.
They really didn't get the chance to.
Nah, I mean, like,
I have before, but not super frequently.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not really my speed these days anyway. And yeah, I don't really have time. I really don't have time to attend a lot of events outside of like working the events. And the only event I got asked to do last year was US Nats that I did coverage at. So that was basically the only like event that I attended last year. And no idea if they're going to invite me to do anything this year. So likely will not be attending too much. So
the content curse. So if you make content on something, it means that sometimes you don't necessarily have the time to play it.
I mean,
tends to be the thing mainly.
Yeah, there's that. I cover Flesh and Blood a lot, but I also cover 2 other games mainly, and then there's just like everything else that I want to talk about, like just a lot of stuff going on. And then like I'm going to Grand Archive events and Shadowverse events this year, and maybe Gen Con, and maybe some. So I have a lot of plans. So hey, if Flesh and Blood wants to ask me to do something, then I'll probably agree to it. But we'll see if they want to do that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think I'm going to try. At least once. Probably Mystic Games in Oxford, which is the closest one to me. Although saying that, I had those 3 guys from Swindon contact me recently about maybe starting up a scene. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's funny.
If that goes anywhere.
I did just get some news actually from a good friend of mine. You may have heard of him. He goes by the Professor. from TOLARIAN Community College. He actually just texted me about something Flesh and Blood related. That, you know what? Actually, I'll say it right now because it will be live. It has nothing to do with competitive play, but it does have to do with the Flesh and Blood community. So it will be live the day that this goes live, right, on Wednesday, right? So Professor does a yearly Trans Lifeline fundraiser, and he does it. A lot of community people get together. They put like prizes and all this kind of stuff into it to encourage people to donate. And last year, I kind of pitched in. I was like, hey, I want to be a part of this, and I want, the Flesh and Blood community to be a part of it. So I offered up some cool stuff, and then some other folks from Flesh and Blood kind of like hopped in and offered up some stuff, and then LSS saw it, and they offered up a lore book, and Max Ferocity ended up winning that lore book.
Hell yeah.
And so I just got a text from Prof, and he was like, hey, we're doing the Trans Lifeline thing tomorrow, which is today, Wednesday, and he's like, would you like to be involved in the Flesh and Blood way? So, I'm gonna be doing that. It looks like.
Nice.
Really happy to support an excellent cause, and I will probably be posting that kind of stuff on my Twitter, by the way. But there will likely be a bunch of sweet Flesh and Blood swag up for grabs for folks who donate. So yeah. He literally just texted me that like timestamp like 13 minutes ago. So yeah, a lot of live stuff in this episode.
A lot of dating the episode as well, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah, we've kind of been all over the place yet. In this one, which is it's gone from one high to the lows of Exodia, and
or the extreme highs of Exodia.
The extreme highs.
Until Weevil throws
extreme lows of anime girl Exodia.
Until Weevil throws your anime girl Exodia off of the boat. I'm just making Yu-Gi-Oh reference. Any Yu-Gi-Oh players out there? Anyone? Anyway.
Hell yeah.
But before we go into like top 8s of this weekend and what we think like the meta might be and the popular heroes and how sort of Kayo and Prism sort of fit into this, I did have an interesting scoop recently about the because there's another thing that's happening. It's the social play kits for local game stores, right?
Mm-hmm,
so there's a new social play kit that's coming out, and that's the Brevant one. So if I just quickly go over what you get in this social play kit, you've got the Civic Peak, Civic Duty, Civic Guide, Civic Steps, which I believe are all rainbow foils. You've got the Hammer of Havenhold rainbow foil and the Civic Brevant Civic Projector cold foils, and you've also got the Brevant matte as well, and a couple of like posters and stuff that you get for your game store. So obviously those are encouraging social play. But how do you get these? So a local source from the UK, I'm not going to name names, has mentioned that in order to get these, what you have to do is you have to buy 6 of the TOLARIAN Community College cross LSS products to qualify for that. So how do we think that product looks now going forward? Do you think it's just going to sit on the shelves now, or do we think that that's still going to be bought in the future? Because obviously it's got Professor's name on it. Do you think it's like an everlasting thing that people can go into the shop and buy, seeing the TOLARIAN Community College logo on it? Or do we think that having to buy 6 of these to qualify for a social play kit after all the sort of hype and optics have dropped off is a bad thing for the game store, because obviously they can't really get it without buying the other stuff?
I genuinely think that it's a good product. I think that it's something that is a really good starting point for people, even if you're not playing it as UPF. I think that they're just totally fine as like learn to play decks. They're all really straightforward.
Yeah.
They're all really well balanced against each other. I think it's possible that Melody drops off a little bit if she's the only target that you can possibly have, so that she's not able to just sit there and like help out your opponent and whatever. But I do think that the remainder of them, the other 3, are like a really solid starting point. Just as a learn to play product, I think it's great. Also, the value has maintained itself as being pretty decent, with Civic Steps being like a $20 card. The red Bittering Thorns also being like a $20 card. Last time I checked, I could be wrong now, but I remember those two being like expensive cards in the deck, so or in the box, I guess. So I don't know. I genuinely think it's a good product, and I think it should be evergreen. In fact, I think they should make more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's Flesh and Blood's best sealed product, like sealed pre-constructed product to date. And I don't think it's particularly close. I think it's like just really, really good. The decks are really well constructed. You get like play sets of cards. You get Majestics. Yeah, I think it's just really, really good. I think the reason folks might see them sitting around now is because of like all of the Flesh and Blood players who are enfranchised players already rushed out to buy them, and now they're just there for new players, right? And that's the cadence that we have, just like slow rolling off of the shelves just for new players. And you know, Flesh and Blood's trying a little bit to like, you know, cater to this more casual audience, but I think it will sell better the more it picks up with the casual minded player. That's how I feel about that. Yeah. And if they're not selling well, that it just means the game's not really appealing that well to casual players. Yeah.
Yeah, I just had a source local game store owner say that you have, in order to get the social play kit, you had to buy 6 of the TOLARIAN Community College things, which then they might not be able to move on, you know, for that reason, which is it was a bit of a feel bad for them, because they do like to run social play events, but in order to get the social play kit, you have to buy 6 of the things that might not necessarily move immediately.
Yeah.
Did they have to buy them? My question is, do they have to buy them like every time a new social play kit comes out, or is it just like 6 one and done, and then they get every social play kit afterwards?
From what I could gather, it was just for this one. But yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know how that works. I just thought it was interesting that they had to buy a certain amount of those specifically in order to get the social play kit. When they are running casual Flesh and Blood at the moment, I'm not sure if they're running armories, but they're not running anything else. So yeah, it was just interesting thing I thought I'll bring up. But yeah, I definitely think it's an evergreen product, and I think people that know of the Professor, he's nearly at 1 million subscribers now, which is absolutely crazy. So the brand is obviously very evergreen. So if someone walks into the shop and hasn't played Flesh and Blood, they recognise that from Magic or whatever, it might tempt them to buy it. Hence why it could be an evergreen product. But it's just shifting it right now to get the social play kits is the main question, really. But yeah, going into what could be the classic constructed competitive situation. Not that we're really the ones to address it, but I think some of the heroes that have shown up over the last few weeks from the Battle Hardens and stuff that we've seen is quite interesting. So what was the thing that you was alluding to earlier, Bill, with regards to Prism and Kayo? What was you going to say regarding that? Was that to do with the adult heroes?
They're pretty constructed? Good. They're pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, they are pretty good. Currently, Yuki Bender is on an absolute tear with KO Armed and Dangerous.
Well, she was only like 11-0.
I'm pretty sure it was like 17-2. Like I'm pretty sure it was upper 2 digits.
I think for the event, the Battle Harden, she went 11-0.
Yeah.
Like
just obscene. And yeah, she's saying like it's basically the second coming of Lexi in sort of like the play style, not necessarily. I think she specifically said like not the power level, but like the play style is very like you go mid range and then set up for a big push turn, and you have like defensive options, and yeah, like, and I totally see that. I think it's really, really interesting. There's a lot of discussion to sort of on the inverse of there was a player that recently won a Battle Hardened at, I forget which event it was. I'm really bad at remembering off the top of my head.
Liverpool.
But, yeah, it was Calling Liverpool, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, they won a Battle Hardened CC event with Prism Awakener of Soul. They just fully took it home. And people are like, well, how is that possible? Especially after heavy hitters where we have all these guardians and brutes running around. And, it is absolutely possible that they, because I haven't seen the tournament report specifically, it's possible that they just faded all of the bad matchups. They just dodged every single one. Or
So
it could mean that the deck has legs.
yeah, so I mean, an interesting report that came out as a result of that. I'm just trying to copy the image because it is on the thing, but it's not working. I think the person who won with Prism was part of a team of 4. I've been seeing this on Twitter, so I don't know if it's validity, whether it's true or not. But the things that were floating around was they were in a team of 4, and the other 3 members of this person's team all went 0-3 drop. 0-3 drop. They were all on the same deck. They were all on Prism Awakener of Soul. And this person managed to just maybe evade all of the matchups that you were saying you don't want to run into because there's a lot of brutes and a lot of guardians hanging around, because that tends to be, the poppers and the phantasm and all this, that's the killer of illusionists most of the time.
Yeah.
And obviously the auras and the spectras, I believe the Prism of old was the way that they used to get around the guardians and everything, because they could have multiple auras and spectral shields to go extremely wide, and they don't really have that strategy here. You can go down that route, but I think it is mainly the Herald and the Figment sort of stuff that's going on. I'm not sure whether you saw a deck list, but I think you posted it in here actually, didn't you?
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It has 2 Fableds. It has the Light of Soul and Library. I think the creator of the deck has since come out and said that Library felt unnecessary because it's very much a win more card. It's like you get it early and your opponent doesn't deal with it and you just have card advantage for the rest of the game. So you could have that, or you could have another card that's more consistent if you draw it late, because obviously like Library doesn't pitch, it doesn't block. It is like very much a liability. But yeah, Light of Soul has like doubled in value. People are kind of seeing that it's a little bit crazy, specifically in this deck. You play so many yellows, and one of the sort of, again, because I haven't seen the tournament report, I just saw some discussion around it. There were a couple people that were speculating that the reason why this deck was able to do so good, even into brutes potentially, was that because of KO's ability only buffing things when they're not on the combat chain, he actually doesn't have as many poppers as you might think. He still does. He's still a brute. But, he plays a lot of red 5s and like yellow 5s, blue 5s, all of those.
Yeah.
So it's exceedingly possible that they just didn't see poppers at the right times, or enough poppers, because obviously you still have access to Phantasmal Footsteps, so you can sort of have that one popper move on to the next thing sort of deal. Doesn't really do a lot into Guardians that have a ton of poppers, but if you only have half of your deck as poppers, it is possible that you just don't have a hand with multiples of them. So
yeah, so if they did run into a lot of the KOs, then it means that they didn't necessarily have the poppers, because KO's ability doesn't work that way. So they managed to evade that as well, because KO was obviously quite a popular deck, I imagine, at Liverpool. I didn't see the meta breakdown, but I imagine it would have been one of the top 5 after Yuki's results.
And it looks like Az did find the top 8 report. Very interesting top 8, by the way.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen this yet. So there were no KOs. In fact, there were 2 Guardians. But it was 2 Guardians, 2 Dash, a Bolton, a Kano, an Azuri, and Prism. And Prism was piloted by Rob Catton. Very interesting that Rob was able to beat Bravo in the first matchup in the quarterfinals, or in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, that's right.
Like that. Then went up against Dash in the semifinals, then went up against Bolton in the finals. So it was New Prism versus Bolton at the top table, which is, I will say it, crazy.
Yeah. That's the UK for you, I guess, isn't it? Crazy.
There are people, especially locally, that are saying like Bolton is possibly in the best spot he's ever been in.
I mean,
he's gotten a lot of support.
I keep saying it every set.
Yeah.
Like, they keep printing legendaries specifically for Bolton. Like, he's eventually gonna get like pretty good if they're just like, okay, new set, we need a new Bolton legendary. Okay, he's still not good enough. Next set, all right, we need another Bolton legendary. Like,
yeah. They keep printing stuff for Bolton, and they keep living legending. Whoa, that's a weird. I don't like that. All of his like super bad matchups. Like, there's no ice anymore.
Yeah.
And with how inefficient the charge mechanic is, a single frostbite is so devastating for Bolton. So now that he doesn't have to deal with that, he can just run free. He can just be like, "Yep, be the Vanguard."
No more channel mount time walk.
Yeah, exactly.
Channel lake time walk. Lake is lake time walk.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so I haven't watched any of these games, unfortunately, because I was busy this weekend. But it would be interesting to see if that was streamed. So I know the calling was streamed in the UK. I don't know about the Battle Hardened. So I'm not sure whether these games and these play-by-plays will be available to be watched. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happened there. Bolton versus Prism is not something you would have really envisioned in this day and age. But a couple of other Battle Hardens did happen this weekend, and this is the other one. So I will post the list of this one because it makes me think, like, do different regions of the world just play card games differently? Because this is the Battle Hardened in Manila. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 ninjas and a Kasai in this top 8, which makes me think: does that part of the world just want to play quicker? Do they want to play faster? I know you've had a lot of experience with Asian card games, Kel. So in general, do they just want to play the game quicker and have like faster games? Do you think, or is it? Because I imagine different regions want to play games differently. Because the UK seems a little bit more control-y, but this one is a lot more ninjas. So,
I mean, like, traditionally in a lot like Japanese card games tend to be much quicker than like Western card games. In Japan, I was told that almost all the Flesh and Blood players right now prefer Blitz to CC.
Right. Makes sense.
I mean, potentially, like maybe they just also favor more aggressive strategies as well. Yeah, it's hard to say, but I mean, definitely each region tends to have their own meta based on like the top players and whatever the top players are thinking, and metas can usually form around that, right?
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was interesting because this one is much more ninja based. I'm not sure if you're seeing this now, Bill, but this is the Battle Hardened for Manila, and there's 4 ninjas in this. So it just seems a lot different than what we just saw with the Liverpool one.
Yeah, we had Richard Anthony Bustamante topping with Bravo, and then we had Kasai, the new Kasai, Dorinthia, 3 Phis, another Bravo, and a Katsu. So that's a really interesting divergence from the top 8 that we saw in Liverpool, even. Like, the only overlap is that there were 2 Bravos. Everything else is just totally separate decks.
I do want to. I'm finally looking at the previous top 8 as well, and I do want to give a shout out to the 2 Georges who are the most based players in the top 8. George Douglas playing Kano, and George Keys playing Uzuri. So based.
Yeah. Again, those are surprising to me, but also I'm totally here for it, and
Uzuri's won a calling before. She's won a calling. Kano, I mean, good luck, but like Uzuri's won a calling. Actually, I don't want to get too off topic, but I fear the day that Kano finally gets his support. I feel that they're going through the roster of Flesh and Blood heroes that aren't like doing well, and they're just like, here's a bunch of cards to make them like really good, like Brute right now. They're like, here's a bunch of like nuts Brute cards. Now KO's like bonkers. There's gonna be a day, probably sooner rather than later, where they're like, let's make Wizard good now, and it's gonna be miserable. It's gonna be. Yeah.
I mean, people have been speculating for a while that there's gonna be like an arcane damage focused set.
James said there is going to be one. That's like 100% confirmed. He said there is going to be an all arcane set. Yes.
I just hope that they're careful with it, because right now I've been saying this for a while, actually. I think even close to the first couple episodes of the podcast. I think that for arcane damage to be healthy, there needs to be easier and more effective ways of blocking it.
Yeah.
Like there is with Battle Worn and Temper and all this stuff. Like there are a billion different ways to block physical damage, but there's like 3 ways to block arcane damage.
Yeah, I mean, what they need, maybe they don't need this, maybe it's too good. They need like the sink below of arcane damage, right? Because like you run sink below against all of like almost every deck runs like sink below, unless you're like some super hyper aggressive deck. And then it just works against all of the heroes except for like, you know, non-Bullander wizard. Like it works against everyone except for like Kano. Like, and if arcane becomes like the biggest thing, we don't really have the equivalent of that. We have like Oasis Respite, but it's not quite the same, right? You don't have, it's not a 0 cost pseudo card advantage card that prevents 4 damage.
In terms of efficient ways to block arcane damage that you can, in terms of efficient ways to block damage that you can play against both physical and arcane damage heroes, it is literally like just Oasis Respite. That is kind of the only option.
There's like some bad options. There's like some other stuff, but they're not great. Yeah.
Like, what is it? It's not. I almost want to say Unyielding from. There's like a Guardian card from Everfest. Steadfast, that's the one. It's like 3 to block the next 6 damage or something.
There's I used to run it in Viscera. There's the aura that it sits around and it'll prevent it basically has like ward 4, like it'll prevent the next 4 damage. It's from Arcane Rising. I can't remember what it's called. I used to play it in Viscera all the time.
Isn't it like Song of something?
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Enchanting Melody.
Yeah.
Enchanting Melody, that's the one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I used that to great effect in that UPF game we played. Do you remember? The Briar game. When I was playing Sunwish, Moonwish, Briar. Sunkiss, Moonwish.
That was a sick deck. But like arcane damage prevention is like so jank right now because like when you think about like physical damage prevention, most cards can block it, right? They can either block 2 or they block 3. But that's all cards, right? Even red pitch cards can block 3, blue pitch cards can block 3, yellow pitch cards can block 3. But currently the way Arcane Barrier works is literally only your blue cards can block 3, right? And that's only if you have 3 Arcane Barrier. So it's just like you have less options, both in terms of normal, quote, normal blocking via Arcane Barrier, because it's limited to your blues. And then you also have less options just in general. I imagine if they do like an all Arcane set, they're smart enough game designers that they've got to like bake in some of this kind of stuff we're talking about. Maybe not exactly, but they've got to bake in some way to deal with it.
With the design that I've seen recently, I'm very confident that they will. I just think that it's important to reiterate that it needs to exist.
Yeah.
Like the efficient ways to block Arcane need to happen for an all Arcane set to be a healthy set to print.
Because like Arcane is such a weird niche right now. Like it doesn't exist in the current meta outside of that one Kano player. Like Rune Blades don't exist in the meta. Wizards basically don't exist. It's just like not a thing. So like it's just part of the game that a lot of CC players don't deal with at all. They just ignore it.
The Rune Blades don't exist because the good ones get living legended and the bad ones don't have access to the good cards anymore.
Yeah, hey, Viscera is not bad. He's just misunderstood. Give him back Give him back his shirt. You just took his shirt.
Oh my god.
There has been some spicy Viscera decks that I've played online recently. But they're the sort of Looming Doom, OTK style Viscera decks. Because Looming Doom is the one that does 2 damage every turn, you know, and you remove some stuff from it. I can't remember what it does.
What it does, it eats your rune chance. When you play it, it eats your rune chance. And for every rune chant, it puts a counter on it. And then every turn you remove a counter and it deals 2 damage. So it's kind of like it sets up like a ongoing thing. Yeah.
Late clock,
It's it turns all of your rune chants into from 1 damage now to 2 damage later
over time.
It doubles the amount of damage that they do, but it takes a billion times as long to do it. But it is also consistent.
If you can get like 2 of them out though, like if you can get 2 of them out with like a couple counters each, that's like 4 damage a turn. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So there's a couple of those floating around on the internet recently, which I've smashed around with Azalea.
I was gonna say, I think the problem is they might just get absolutely dumpstered by like any aggro deck. Like Fi is probably just like eats them alive.
Yeah, that's the thing about like hard control decks is it's an interesting strategy to have, but with the way that Flesh and Blood works, they're just so they are kind of miserable to play against, especially in a tournament setting. Like we saw it with Oldhim.
Yeah.
That's where that discussion needs to end, honestly. We saw it with Oldhim.
Oldhim, like Ice in general, is just like brutal because it's just, you know, traditional resource denial mechanics. And everyone knows how fun land destruction is in Magic. So, you know, that's basically what Ice was in Flesh and Blood terms, right? They just blow up your lands. That's what, you know, Channel Lake Frigid is. It's Armageddon.
Oh, God. Channel Lake Frigid is so miserable to play against.
I hate that card so much. Yeah. Screw that card. And the one calling event that I played, like I said, I think I went I said 4-4, but I think it was more like 4-4-1 or 4-4-2 because I drew a couple games against Oldhim. We went to time. And you know, those were fun going to time against Oldhim. Yep. It's great. It's what I love.
Did we lose Az? I think we lost Az.
Yeah, it looks like he's just really, really contemplating. He's
thinking
just
so hard right now.
He's like, how much do I hate Oldhim? Well, we'll wait for Az to come back.
Yeah. We'll like I'll make a big noise when he comes back so that you can cut it.
There we go. He officially has dropped. Oh, he's coming back. I'm not gonna cut it. If he's back, there he goes. I'm not gonna cut it out. We'll leave it in. It just looked like Az got really effing serious for like 2 minutes. You were just like,
yeah. It froze on you like in like the thinker pose, and we were talking about Oldhim. It's like, God, he hates Oldhim.
He hates Oldhim.
Oh my God.
I was speaking about the ancient demons of Ariathiel, and they'll just start eating me up there at the insect section. But yeah, I think we were pretty much at the end. I just wanted to mention as well that Kano's been appearing quite a lot. We've got the one in Liverpool there, but we also had Margin Bay take Kano to the semi-final against the Ukili Benders KO as well. So it's one of those decks that can just come out of nowhere and just kill people. It's because, like I said, everyone's ignoring it. Like everyone in CC is just like, the Arcane Berry, who cares? And then like good Kano players, which is few and far between. Kano is very hard. Just come in and like can rinse people. Also, shout out to my dude Majin Bay. Rip Runeterra, my dude. Oh, yeah. I feel for you, but
yeah.
Yeah.
As somebody who still plays Path of Champions, I do feel bad for people that aren't able to interact with the game in their preferred manner.
I mean, like that's like if you are a content creator out there and you're like, I only play like one game, I think Legends of Runeterra is like should be like an awakening for you because like I don't know what Majin Bay is gonna do now. Like he was a Legends of Runeterra creator. That's what he did. Like I don't know what the hell he's gonna do. Like jump to a different game, play Flesh and Blood only. I don't know.
Yeah, especially if your focus is literally on that one game and that one game only. If something happens to it, I guess it's tough, isn't it? To really understand what to do next.
It's brutal. Yep.
Yeah.
So
it does suck.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was in pretty high spirits. Actually, well, they were having a dinner, and I texted Elaine Hammondtree saying, "What are you doing? You know, what's going on?" And they were at dinner, so they was like, "Oh yeah, come and hang out with us." So I just got a taxi over there, had a few drinks that night with them. They were all sort of together, and I just turned up, like, "Wait, what's going on?" Bought Margin Bay a drink. Actually, I can't remember what it was. It was like this red. I can't remember what it was. It's like this red sort of cocktail drink. I can't remember for the life of me what it was.
He's a nice dude.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
I've seen him in a few Flesh and Blood events. He and I got lunch one time. I think it might have been at the Pro Tour, but yeah, he's cool. We just hung out and I don't know. He's a cool guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
He's real chill. But yeah, I feel bad for him because anyway, Rip Runeterra.
Yeah. I've never played it, but I heard Bill played the solo version. Was it the solo version you're referring to?
Path of Champions.
I played that too. It's really fun. It's great.
It is. I genuinely like it. It has like weekly sort of events that you can play to earn in-game currency, and I don't think I've missed a week like in I don't even know how long. It's been like at least a year at this point, I think, that I've been playing it just consistently.
You play a lot more than I do.
Yeah, it's kind of the thing where like I play it when new content comes out. It's usually on Mondays. That's when the new weekly adventures happen, and I'll just play through them in like an hour and then basically put it down until a new like set comes out or new heroes get released. Then I'll play it for like a little bit longer, but most of the time it's like half an hour to an hour a week, just keeping up on stuff.
I wonder. I don't know. They probably said this, but I heard that one of the reasons why the competitive side of Runeterra is basically stopping is because they found that so many more players were playing Path of Champions in the competitive side, and Path of Champions. Yes. This is great for players, by the way, but not great for them. Path of Champions, you don't have to spend any money at all to enjoy it. Mm-hmm. You can play it, and I have completely 100% free. But that also means that they're not making any money from it. So it's like, yeah, and this leads to my question. I was like, I wonder if they're gonna start monetizing it more. You know?
Yeah, I do definitely think they are going to. I'm pretty much like the model Path of Champions player for them. Like I will say that I spend money on the battle passes, and I usually use the coins or whatever to unlock at least each of the champions as they come out. Because I do genuinely really like the game. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great.
I have almost every champion that's available right now at 3 stars, which is the highest that you can get them. There's 3 stars, and then there's levels to each of them. But...
Oh wait, 3 stars. I might have a couple at 3 stars, and then I have one at like max level. I have Moon
Girl, a star level, and then
Diana
level where it goes up to 30. But yeah, like I play it a lot, so like yeah, I'm gonna pay into it because I do genuinely like the game. But they released the metrics for it, and like for I think it's the monthly leaderboards, there were like 20,000 entries for the main Legends of Runeterra game, and then there were like almost 500,000 entries for Path of Champions.
Yeah, like,
and it's like
500,000 versus 20,000. Well, it's because like and this harkens back to what we talked about for Flesh and Blood too. We can rope this back into Flesh and Blood, right? The casual audience is always much bigger than the competitive audience. Like that's just how it works for everything. And the reason I play Path of Champions for that is like playing the competitive games puts the pressure of actually being good and winning. Because I used to play competitive Magic, I used to actually play these games, but when I do, I was like, I'm playing here to win, and it's like stressful. For the Path of Champions, dude, I don't care. It's fun. I just chill. Yeah. I can go get a drink. I don't care. I can just, I can leave the game playing, go get a drink, go take my dog out or whatever, come back. Like it doesn't matter.
That's actually like a huge part of why I like it. I can just get up in the middle of a game and just leave it running for like half an hour, and then come back and be like, oh yeah, and then finish it up, and it's fine because it's PvE.
Yeah,
and you don't have to worry about it.
I extend that to other digital card games too. For Hearthstone, I'll jump on every like couple of years and then just play all the solo stuff and then leave. And then for Shadowverse, I still play Shadowverse every now and then because I just genuinely love Shadowverse. But I play the single player stuff a lot. They have a very robust story mode, like insanely robust. Many stories and chapters and stuff. It would take you hundreds of hours to do it all if you actually like listen to the voiceovers. But they keep updating that, and it's fun. It's cool, and then I play it. And it's a fun way to play like weird jank decks that I would probably like get dumpstered on if I played like on the competitive ladder, because in Shadowverse I'm like fairly high rated. I'm not quite master rank. I'm AA, which is right below master. I just need to grind up to get master. Anyway, so if I queue up, unless I want to make a Smurf account, then I just queue up against other sweaty players. So anyway, single player modes are great, and this applies to Flesh and Blood too. Like, like
I think,
casual.
unfortunately, I think single player modes, though, they are obviously much better on digital clients because it's just so much more you can do, and you can constantly expand it and do this. And unless it's like an out of the box play experience, which I don't know if
Yeah,
it's going to be, but
yeah,
I guess we'll see what it's going to be. But
yeah. I mean, like, like Arkham Horror is my favorite. I don't want to call it casual, but it is kind of casual. We take it serious and we try to win. Robin and I have never lost an Arkham Horror campaign because we like actually think about it and build our decks to work together and stuff. But it's like a lot of fun and it's a great little co-op experience. And I think TCGs can do better at that. I know some that are not Flesh and Blood that are going to be doing some single player stuff that I've heard that it's very spicy and it sounds awesome. And I don't know if I can talk about it. I don't know if I can talk about it. But I don't know if it was announced recently. I don't know. So Flesh and Blood needs to kind of get their ball rolling on that because I know some other games are looking at doing that too. And what I've heard, they sound awesome from the other games, like exactly what I would like.
nice.
So Flesh and Blood, let's go. Maybe. I mean, I guess you could just keep focusing on competitive play. That's probably what they're gonna do, but yeah,
we'll see. We do have faith in them, but it just depends on how long it's going to take. But we're well and truly in the Arsenal step, and we have been for a while, but we just haven't announced it, basically.
We went from top 8 to Kano in the top 8 to Majin Bay to Runeterra from Majin Bay, then to single player card games from Runeterra. That's how we got here. That's the path to glory.
Path of champions.
Path of champions. Oh, let's go for full circle.
Me, the cheese is real.
Hey man, I love cheese. It's great.
I do as well. That's a good note, actually. What's your favorite cheese? We'll end on that, shall we?
Oh, okay. Hey, you know what? Here, I'm gonna give you the spicy. What's your favorite non-cheddar cheese? Because I don't want people to just be like, cheddar. Because it's like, I think it's easy. I think it's the easy one.
Okay.
What's your favorite non-cheddar?
Non-cheddar.
Mine. I'm gonna give you mine. I have a couple options, but I'm gonna go with Havarti. Is my favorite non-cheddar cheese. It's very good for like very good on sandwiches, but it's also very good at like melting. I've been using it a lot on grilled cheese with sharp cheddar. I do like a little mix of sharp cheddar and Havarti, but yeah.
I will say a very big fan. This is kind of cheating, but it is like a specialty cheddar.
Okay.
Because there's a cheddar that my brother gets every year for Christmas from a local like fancy place. It's called La Grata. And it's a caramelized onion aged cheddar.
Okay. I mean, I guess
so it's cheddar that has caramelized onions in it.
Okay. Yeah. I was gonna guess. So I've had garlic cheddar before. That was called Vampire Slayer. No joke. It's pretty good on like crackers and stuff. I don't think it'd be great on like a sandwich though. It'd be kind of. I think it would throw things off a bit, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, my vote for kind of breaking the rules is caramelized cheddar. Outside of that, I do really like Gruyere.
Ooh, okay.
Gruyere is a big one for me, but like obviously not on its own. I love it on like French onion soup.
Yeah,
I love it like melted on things, like great in a sandwich. Big fan of Gruyere. But yeah, those would be my options.
Yeah, man. Oh man, like freshly ground, like or freshly shredded, like Parmesan or something, like in copious amounts on top of pasta is like delicious.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Nice. I would so slightly cheating. I would go for chili cheddar cheese, which is
just versions of cheddar.
Basically versions of cheddar or charcoal cheese. Have you ever had that?
What the hell is charcoal cheese?
Charcoal. It's black cheese, basically. It's got like a charcoaly flavor to it, and it's
never
from.
Oh, it's very nice. You can get it on Christmas markets in the UK quite a lot. Charcoal cheese.
One.
This is also a cheddar. Indulge in a modern twist on our classic favorite with our mature cheddar blended with activated charcoal.
That's
Just
why
down here, cheddar is top tier.
That's why I said no cheddar, because it's too easy. Everyone was just gonna say cheddar, because like probably my actual probably is like sharp cheddar, like extra sharp cheddar, because it's like it's like really good on like crackers. It's really good on sandwiches. It's just like top tier. It's really good if you get like a fresh block of extra sharp and then you just grate it over like chili, like especially like spicy chili. Dog, that's the best, man. But I figure that's too easy.
I'm glad we like cheese, but I would say apart from that, it's Stilton, which is like blue cheese.
Ooh. Oh, so I don't like blue cheese, but I've started to come around on feta. I used to not like feta as much, but I've been like every week or so I get like a tzatziki euro from a place called McMinimans here, and they put feta on it, and I'm like, dang, dude.
Gyro, is it a gyro wrap thing?
Yeah.
Those, yeah,
they're delicious.
Gyro or something. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, like salad cheese, like soft cheese, is quite nice. But yeah, you can't beat a bloody steak burger with Stilton all over it though. It's just pure pungent cheese. Yeah, you can almost taste the mold in it, but it's very nice. But it's very nice. There we go. Cheeses with Living Legends podcast.
I had blue cheese as a kid and I hated it, so it kind of has turned me off. So I haven't really tried it as an adult, but I've been getting into the feta a little bit.
Final thing I will say for grilled cheese sandwiches specifically, you actually like literally can't beat American cheddar.
It's really easy to melt. I'll give it that.
Yeah,
I'll give it that. It's really easy to melt.
I love it.
But I make grilled cheeses quite a bit, and my go-to right now is I layer Havarti and then like sharp cheddar. Is what I do. Yeah, and then
good. But if you want to be lazy and still have a good grilled cheese sandwich, American cheese.
and then put if I'm feeling a little extra, I can put some like smoked turkey or something in it as well. Oh, that's the best. A little bit of smoked turkey and then the grill. So good.
As soon as you add non-cheese things, it becomes a melt. That's a fact.
Well,
that's a cheese fact, baby.
Melt grilled cheese. I'm gonna eat it, man.
I want to throw out there.
Yeah.
I want to throw one more cheesy thing out there. I do like grilled halloumi as well.
Ooh, interesting.
That's a nice one. That's a nice cheese.
Is really good.
It does count as a cheese, but it's just the texture of it when it's grilled is just lovely.
Before we go, honorable mention to Asiago. So we'll just toss that out there.
Is that another cheese? Is it?
Yeah. Asiago is like a white. Cool. It's like a white cheese. It's really good. I guess all cheese is white. I think cheddar is yellow because it's colored. But anyway.
Yeah.
Also, shout out to paneer. Paneer is also extremely good.
We just like cheese, all right? Like we're
the big cheese fans over here.
Let's just go to like freaking like France or Switzerland and just eat all their freaking cheese or something.
We should. That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, we can call it there. We have
up there.
Fully and completely lost our entire audience.
Audience, everyone, let us know what your cheeses are. Top 3 cheeses in the comments down below. Only one of them can be cheddar, goddammit. Like, there's too much.
Cheating.
Yeah, so we'll limit. You can only do 1 cheddar, 2 others, 3 total.
Otherwise, I'll get a judge call on your ass and give you an IP.
Yeah, I will DM Joshua Scott on you.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, so
yes,
that is
actual important things. Reminder, if you're still listening to this, I don't know how long it's going to be lasting, but yes, the Trans Lifeline fundraiser is going on. Prof and I are going to be giving away some banger stuff, including just kind of like read some messages, including signed or not, depending on whether you want it, cold foil versions of himself. So the Professor Teklevossen. We're going to be giving away, I think, 12 of those, as well as a graded 9.5 Fiendel Spring Tunic signed by James White. So we're going to be giving those at base, and then I'm going to pick something as well that I'm going to put up. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. Probably something, maybe like an artist proof or something. I don't know. We'll see. But those are all things.
How did you have to enter it before? Just donate, and then you're into the draw sort of thing.
Yeah. So the way it works is it's pretty simple, right? I'll post the link on my socials, and then you just donate for it, and you have to donate in, I think, certain increments. I think it's like maybe like $5 or something like that, and you'll get number of entries. And if you win, then you can win like one of the things. Yeah,
cool stuff. Yeah, sounds good.
Yep. And I will be facilitating at least the Flesh and Blood side of the thing. So yeah,
epic. Well, on that note, then, do you want to tell everybody where they can find you and where you're going to be posting that and everything? So, and then we'll just go around the table.
Right here, Red Zone at Red Zone Rogue, x.com/RedZoneRogue. Ugh.
That's a different website entirely, isn't it? x.x./
No,
red.
That's Twitter, man. Twitter's called x.com.
It's called twitter.com. But anyway, I'm hijacking your outro.
Because Elon Musk really likes the letter X. That's not a joke. He just really, really likes the letter X.
He does.
But anyway, yeah, twitter.com/RedZoneRogue, facebook.com/RedZoneRogue, Instagram.com/RedZoneRogue. I'll probably be posting the links and all that kind of stuff on all of those socials. YouTube.com/RedZoneRogue as well for weekly Flesh and Blood content, including the Living Legends podcast and maybe some other stuff. And also a bunch of Shadowverse and Grand Archive. And there's a couple other TCGs and other random stuff that I'm looking at too. Like Altered is pretty interesting, and I'll probably be covering that to some degree. It looks cool, but I'll save that one for a future Arsenal step. All right, I'm done. I'll pass the baton.
Pass the baton to Bill.
Bill, here you go.
Yes, I am Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on social media at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at the Spike Feeders Fab, where we do live edited gameplay content. That's something that interests you. You should definitely go check it out. We are currently working through another Goliath Gauntlet series. Me and my good friend Jay. There was a little bit of a hiccup in we lost all of his face cam footage, and as a result, we also lost his audio, but we were able to do some cool behind the scenes stuff. Specifically, Jim was able to do some cool behind the scenes stuff to salvage it. So it unfortunately doesn't have his face cam, but it is still good content. So you should definitely give it a watch. It's lots of fun.
Just want to see Bill a lot. Just all Bill.
All Bill, all the time. Lovely. And I'm your host for today. My name's Az from Go Again Gaming. As I mentioned before, the League That Means Nothing is going to be coming out very, very soon. The first week has been drawn. I'm actually playing against Will Bradshaw from the Runaways team. He's playing Kano, actually, and I'm playing Azalea. So that should be interesting. Yeah, it's going to be coming out on Go Again Gaming soon, and you can find that on Go Again Gaming on YouTube. And then I'm on twitter.com. Raw thoughts and feelings and, silly edits. I actually posted a few things today, which I didn't mention in the week in Flesh and Blood. But one of them was a film magazine edit. So I basically did an edit of Heavy Hitters, but on an Empire magazine, which is like known for film and movies. So that was a pretty cool edit that I did. But yeah, that's Go Again Gaming AZ. And then that's pretty much all I'm active on these days. So go and check them out. But until next time. One thing we should also mention as well, if you want to pick up any singles, as we mentioned at the top of the show, what Kayo did, Living Legend 10 discount code for Fab Foundry is a great place to go.
If you need to go buy some of those heroes because you're using proxy or altered versions, hey, go there. You can buy your $2 Prism, Arclight Sculptor or whatever the hell it's called, or Max Nitro.
Of Soul.
Yeah, Awakener of Soul.
Yeah.
Awakener
Although you can't use the code for non-heavy stuff at the the
right.
It's only heavy hitter stuff at the moment.
So if you need your
keep buying
Betsy's or Olympias, go there.
Yeah. But thanks for everybody who's used the code so far. I know there's been quite a few of you, so keep doing that, and we might be able to give you different sets with the same code in the future. So definitely keep going doing that. And Travis is a fantastic person, so keep doing it.
Yeah. Good dude. That's
Apart
where
from that, that's pretty.
Go ahead.
I was just say, I know that's definitely where you get your cards from. Him and Jim from FABTCG cards, right?
It's also where I play. We mentioned events earlier, but that's where I play my pre-releases at Travis's store. So go support them. Yeah. They're a good local game store here in Portland, Oregon. Yeah.
Fantastic. Do it now. That's pretty much it. We'll see you next time. It's all over again here on the Living Legends podcast. And cheers, folks.
Thanks again.
Bye.